Okay, I wanted to acknowledge that I did a good thing this morning. I had an interesting morning. Today is Friday, September 29, 2023. I found out around 6, a little after 6 a.m. that our prayer group, there's a prayer group at the shelter, is Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. And our prayer group, the posters got taken down, and it was said that we wouldn't have our prayer group. It was canceled. So we woke up to it happened last night, but a lot of us saw it this morning. Just the colorful poster was down about our prayer group, and so I talked to the leader of the prayer group. It was around 6:30, and one of the staff members, and of course I'm like after I find out, and he's like, settle down first, calm down. I was like, and so I didn't feel like I could write a grievance because I've done one about the no smoking in the building, and smoking in the bathroom, smoking, vaping in the dining room, blah blah blah. So I did that, and then the COVID situation where people were being discharged if they tested positive for COVID, they had to leave for 5 days. So I did that, and so it's been about about a month, but between the last 6 or 7 weeks, I've done 2 grievances, and I've had 3 meetings. So yeah, I was like, nah, I don't want to do this. But not that no, I don't want to do this. I didn't want to be the only one, have my name on it and be the only one, blah blah blah. So I wrote something out. The grievance was basically, what did it say? It said our prayer group was canceled for unknown reasons, and then for the description of the grievance, I just put that we meet Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. Our prayer group meets Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. and that our that it helps us, with our as individuals, and I was like, this fellowship helps us with our emotional, mental, and spiritual health. And then instead of the participant signature at the end of the form, I started numbering, and so I have 5 numbers and then an additional sheet just to say participants who are affected by this cancellation. And I thought if I got 16 or 17 signatures, that would be good enough, because it would be 10% of the shelter. It's 162 people, I think, 163 beds, something like that. So I ended up getting 35. So I just went through the first page. I didn't go to a second page because somewhere in the last maybe 5 or 6 of them, I had other information. So about supposedly there was one person who complained about the group and the religious stuff because she was getting attacked verbally for LGBT, being part of the LGBT community. So I was just like, damn. So it's hard to say, but it was like a tough spot, being trans and also being like very prayerful, loving God and all that, and having that. And I didn't know. It's really important that I talk to her because she didn't get the group canceled. She talked to the director of the program about something, and like if she puts up a pentagram, and what's the difference between putting up a pentagram and somebody putting up a cross? And it basically it's religious freedom kind of thing. But she wasn't saying for the group to be dismantled, so she signed my petition, and then she wrote something, an additional grievance form that she got to put with mine, but basically just talking about religious freedom and stuff like that, or discrimination. She mentioned a bunch of stuff in hers, but I just had signatures. I just had what I said because I want to keep it simple. I want to keep it simple. And but I'm glad that I talked to the person that there was rumors about starting, because I think maybe 12 people in, I kept hearing about this person, and I was like, what's her name, blah blah blah. And it just so happened that there was no place to sit at breakfast, and I sometimes sit at the big table when there's no individual tables, and she happened to be there to my left, so I started talking with her. So then I found out when we turned in the paper right before that the group wasn't canceled. It's just that we couldn't have posters up. And so when we went to put the grievance in and turn it into someone, she said, yeah, I was there when the posters came down yesterday, and the director didn't say that it was canceled. And I was like, it would be a simple thing I know it's an assumption and rumors on our part, but it would have been so super simple to say, got to take the posters down, you all can still gather. And at first, of course you can gather. We were going to maybe gather for art or a reading group. There are ways around it, but it seemed like an attack, a spiritual. There's so much going on at the shelter. So we're not allowed to play the gospel music right before. That happened 3 days ago. That's why this felt like an attack, having the poster come, because we've been doing this group for months, and there's so much rap music and nothing wrong with rap music, by the way. There's so much music around that happens to be in that art form, because it's a beautiful art form, and it has words in it that are not and attitudes and scenarios that aren't spiritually uplifting. They're expressive, and it's good to have that, but it plays too. That's my point. So now the gospel music can't play, but that can play. It means it should be no music. Everybody should have to have their headbuds in, right? So that's not happening. So it just felt like being picked on. But the result is that I got to meet a bunch of people. I had to talk to 2 people that I don't really like. But it was really interesting because they don't like me either. But they were good enough. One of them has attended the meetings before and gone to church with the group leader, and one of them is curious, but they were good enough to sign it. I had to still speak on it, say what I wrote, say what I was doing, so I had to do it because I didn't. It's not even that I just needed the signatures, it's that I didn't want them to feel like I was discriminating against them, and that they could be like, I would have signed it, so I wanted to give them the opportunity, and they did. But yeah, still got not great. It's fine. Because after I told them, because I was going around telling people, correcting the rumors, which is really hard because it was already around, and then letting them know that the result was that we can have our prayer group, which is just that's what I forgot to say when I said it was Monday through Friday at 9 p.m. I said that it's to read a Bible verse and then to pray, and then I went on to say that it helps us as individuals, and that this fellowship helps us with our mental, emotional, and spiritual health. So yeah, that was a part of it. We read a verse and we pray, and so yeah, I just had to let people know after I did all that. So I got to meet a bunch of people, and this took pretty much, I found out around 6, and I was sort of done around 10. So it took about an hour and a half to get signatures, and then to talk with people, and then to wait for the person that people thought it was about to write her side of it, and to talk about that she wasn't trying to stop people from gathering, because she was told by the director that it was against shelter policy. That's why I was hot, because it was like, that's not true. It just felt bad. So the result of it is that we can still gather, and that I got to meet people, and that we have more support, because the average is about 8 people that attend at any given time. I've been at ones where there's 4 of us, 5 of us, but it doesn't matter if people aren't showing up necessarily because they see us. That's another thing. We see because people will walk through and curse and yell. It's weird, but we'll still do our own. It's weird, and that doesn't happen every night, but that's happened. So so yeah, it's been an interesting morning, and it's noonish right now. I think it's almost 1 o'clock Friday, and I just got up here, and so I might color. I've been listening to Harry Potter by Rabbi Jim Dell for the last, I don't know, couple months, and I'm on book 6, which is my favorite initially when I read them years ago. And so I'm really excited. I have Footprints, and I just started it. So I'm going to listen to that. And then I've been listening and watching Rabbi on YouTube that I really like. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right, but it's Rabbi Manis Friedman. But it's spelled, I don't know if it's Friedman or Friedman, but it's spelled Friedman, like Friedman. And I think it's Manis, Manis, or Manis, but I think it's Manis. And that's been really informative, and that's been a couple weeks, and so it's made me think about the God of Israel. I always think about Yeshua because that's the path that I've been on since I was in my mid-20s, so it's been over 20 years. And I was telling somebody today, I didn't even know that word. I didn't know Yeshua until I had my spiritual awakening, and it was like, this is the path that I'm on. And then I found out later that that was the Hebrew pronunciation of Jesus. And so a lot of things that I've come upon in my spiritual path, I've experienced first and then read about it, or had it confirmed by literature, other people. And I'm like, oh, I have that thought, or I have that experience. And so that's been I like my path for that reason, because it makes me trust myself and trust spirit more. But yeah, I've been listening to it, him talk, and one of the beautiful things about him is like how I feel is like to serve God, that it's like a beautiful thing, just a beautiful, I was going to say opportunity, I was going to say path, but it's not just that, it's an existence. And things happen that are really tough and really hard, and challenging. And then it's just like, go back and remember, like, yo, first of all, I'll just say right now, Spirit is like, just don't take things so seriously. Not everything needs to be taken so seriously. I'm so serious. But just to honor people. It's the love of thy neighbor as thyself thing too. It's like to honor myself as a person. It extends to other people. I don't know how else it could be. For me, though, it started with other people, and it took a long time for me to add myself to that love and those blessings and those prayers that I have for other people. But because I was praying for the whole world and I'm a part of the world, it's made it easier to integrate over time. But one of my favorite things that I'm learning about is just like the Torah and like the beginning at a beginning, or near the beginning, or but just this idea that God needs us. It's it's really, because I always thought about God. I was like, God, who made God? And God must be lonely. And these are thoughts that I had when I was a kid and at some points growing up. And the idea that God made us in His image, this idea of the best part, and I've said this in my own personal life, is that I would be like, I was born in a free will universe, and my path is unconditional love, right? And then to take that title off, just love, compassion, forgiveness. Those are the things that I've been dealing with and focused on, and that's one of the things that God gave us, this ability to choose. Because like if you're a God, you know everything, you do everything, you're just awesome. You can make, separate, the skies from the heaven, the earth, put the water, the trees, the animals, and then make us, and da da da, right? It's like this, basically the rabbi is just saying, like, his philosophy or his idea or his point or his truth, the truth is that he's sharing is that God needs us, right? Nobody wants to, this is my words, nobody wants to force anybody. You can't force anybody to be in a relationship with you. You make somebody, you love somebody, you watch, it's like, okay, these are the things that make I love you, I promised you that that you're my people, and that, I'm talking about people of Israel. Like, you're my people, I got you, you're going to be the folks that lead by example, follow these things, do these things. And then over the years, that's what's been happening. That's years and years and years and years, and that's hearts, and that's time. And yeah, so those are the main two things. And I've been coloring. I've been sharing my art. And I've been resting. This week was resting. Today's Friday. Yesterday was the first day that I went out officially. Even though I've been out, I've only gone out 5 minutes, 10 minutes down the road. I usually ride for 10 to 12 miles per day. I've been walking really slow. I've been resting, which is good, like napping. I've been waking up early. The 3 o'clock thing, people know about that, but it's been a long while since I've been waking up at the 3 o'clock hour. That used to happen a lot over a decade ago. So waking up clear and just realizing that this is a shift in time and that I'm moving on to something else. I can feel that this new aspect of life, new creativity. I am talking about the person that I was in love with, who comes from a Jewish background, who I met 3 years ago, but whose name means God has answered, who I thought was, the person I was going to be with and all of that. So I'm talking about them again, but not in a guilty, more sad way. It's more like, more happy and like thankful for that experience, thankful for that love that is still inside, even though I get annoyed. I'm like, it's been 3 years, I'm so thankful, because it's so in line with God and the love that I've experienced with God, that God loves for me, and the love that I was talking to somebody earlier this morning. In the midst of all this, I've had a lot. This has been a busy day. I got to pray with somebody today, but the other person I was talking with, I was like, what I realized in the last couple years of healing, not only that relationship, but relationships with friends and family, blah, 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 is that the love that I was proposing is God's love. It's the I love you now, I love everything before, I love everything after. I love you all the way around, right? Nothing to be ashamed of. We live, we grow, we learn, and so that got said, and that makes me feel happy. Just that I can talk about that experience and that person who I still love, right? With the joy of how I felt at that time. There's pain. The only pain is actually that I can't let go. And it's done. I honestly believe that the past is the past is the past. The present right now is the most important. That past is a part of this present. So as long as I honor the present moment, I honor my entire existence, and I'm honoring my future, because this moment is future's past. And so it's just been a very talkative but good. I'm happy, and I just wanted to kind of document the morning. So got over 20% of the shelter to sign this petition on a Friday morning within about an hour and a half, and it's amazing, and I'm very pleased, even if it wasn't particularly necessary. It actually served. Everything is working in God's favor. Everything serves God, and that's how I feel about things. That's what I know. It's not just how I feel. It's what I know for myself. So we were talking about earlier too, the stories that we tell ourselves. And this is a story that I'm telling myself. God is good. Things that I don't know, the things that I don't know about people, it's none of my business. There are times that I get hurt. Feelings get hurt. There's misunderstandings. There's people whose hearts are completely blocked off, because for me, there's no conversation that I won't have or can't have. And especially if a person wants to have, if anybody wants to have if they want to talk and people want to be open-hearted, and I'm specifically thinking about people that we have miscommunications or misunderstandings. There's not a conversation that I can't have. We can cry through it. People can get mad, but if there's a willingness to talk, there's a willingness for, in my opinion, there's opportunity for peace. And I was going to say a clean slate, but then I was also going to say a cleanliness and a purity moving forward. So just clearing things that are not necessary, clearing, yeah, I don't know, I'm kind of babbling right now, but it felt like a spiritual attack, and it served a point of people knowing what happened, staff realizing, both two members of staff were like, yes, this could have been communicated and this wouldn't have happened. So this is it's still a management issue, still, you know, it's still what it is, but one person can't stop the show. And obviously there's still ways around it. And people are like, oh, you could do it outside. We're not allowed to hang out outside for no reason. We're not supposed to hang out outside the front of the building. In the back is smoking. There's a smoking area and a bike area. So it really would be, and there's AA meetings at the shelter, and there's other things. And so it was a weird thing to communicate earlier this week, no gospel music, and then to have the posters taken down without talking to any of us. You know, not the person who started the group and runs it. There was a rumor that said that the director had said, well, I don't want to say that because that's a rumor. Yeah, anyways, this resolved, and thanks for listening.